Welcome to the Sacred 8 Roadshow, where cosmic love meets conscious living.
We're Juji and Nikki, partners in life and purpose, and we're so glad you're here.
This podcast is a space for truth tellers, heart healers, and those walking the path of deep love and self-remembrance.
We'll explore human design, emotional wisdom, and the real work of conscious relationship.
And we're proudly sponsored by Hello Zia, your 24/7 AI relationship coach for healing, growth, and sacred love.
Let's dive in.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to our special New Year's episode of Sacred 8 Roadshow. Pull up a chair, pull up a pillow, join the circle. Close your eyes if you want to listen deeply. If you're driving, please don't close your eyes. This week, we have a very special interview for you. But before we get into it, we'd like to ask you for a favor. If this podcast has helped you in any way, if you've gained new insight or been introduced to new concepts, please write us a review and tell the world. It really helps push it out to people, especially through the podcast app or Spotify.
Like and subscribe and share it with your friends. We think you're really going to enjoy this week's episode, where we speak with Darius the numerologist, who is a modern mystic and numerology practitioner who reads the language of numbers as a map for soul timing and life transitions.
Through symbolic interpretation and intuitive insight, he helps people reconnect with meaning, rhythm, and divine order in their everyday lives.
This episode was especially timely as we discussed the meaning of the year 2025 as cycles are ending.
And we welcome in 2026, fully embracing new beginnings with an energy of creation.
We hope you enjoyed this episode as much as we did.
All right. Welcome, Darius. We are so excited to have you here. When we started this podcast, I knew I wanted to interview you. And what we usually do is start with the question, how did you get here? What was the catalyst for your awakening? What led you down this path to becoming a master numerologer?
The desire to prove it wrong.
Oh, what a projector thing to say.
It challenged everything that I was indoctrinated to believe. I was raised in a loving, but also very religious household. And it wasn't one that really invited questioning of beliefs. So when my network marketing upline asked me what my birthday was and then calculated it to me at Starbucks 16 years ago, then that threw me for a loop when I saw the accuracy. And so then I said, oh, well, you know what? Let me go ahead and test this, because this is probably he did some kind of trick. Or maybe I was the weak sheep in the flock that was susceptible to Satan's snares, as they would call it. Watch out for the bird catcher, right? All this stuff. And maybe it just worked on me. So let me go ahead and see if this works on this brother, that sister. And hey, brother, hey, what's your birthday? You don't ask them like that, right? You got to be smooth with it, because no one celebrates birthdays there, right? You got to be smooth. Hey, man, they're all my age, so we don't care about telling each other's age. How old are you, man? Oh, I'm 17. Hey, when you turn 18? Oh, I turn 18 this. Oh, okay, cool, man. Then I'd go and I'd be like, calculate real quick. Then I'd see what the number was, and I'd be like, whoa, why is that accurate? Why is that accurate, right? And that was one of the things that helped me to loosen those chains of programming, and be able to have the capacity to question my beliefs at that time.
That seems like a really brave thing to do, considering it was so deep.
Yeah. It was very scary, actually. It was very scary because that was, we're raised to think like a Peter, right? In the Bible, Peter said, but Lord, to whom are we to go? You have the sayings of everlasting life. So if that was the truth and you're not directed to go that direction, then where else are you going to go? It's not just where else, but where you're going to go after Earth, right? That whole deal. From coming from that perspective, there's periods that it's really common when deprogramming like religious like programming to where the programming comes back and just fastens itself around your mind a little bit. But the thing that was able to anchor me back and to show me that, oh, this wasn't some type of illusion was, oh yeah, if this stuff is accurate, okay, yeah, this stuff is rooted in reality. Like the numerology, like I'm seeing these patterns in places. I'm like, okay, yeah, that's actually describing some reality. Okay, all right, cool. It would just kind of help me bring me back. It was more concrete than any subjective interpretation of anything because it was direct experience by that point. So yeah, that's how it started with me, and gradually I met friends who helped me to get comfortable and learn more about crystals. Where I traveled up to Philly and started doing door-to-door sales, and that's where I met my fiance at that time, and she helped teach me the tarot cards and helped me to get comfortable with knowing this and normalizing it. That was like one of my favorite things. Like whenever I'd visit her, like the last day before we would leave, she'd just dump out all the tarot cards and we just go to town. And she was really good at reading, and I would just hear like some of her patterns that she would show from the cards that expanded my mind further. And I just kept meeting friends and people on the path that would just kind of gradually introduce me to the next step.
That's amazing. Listen, Darius, I feel like I want to define numerology for those listening. And what do you think of asking Zia?
Let's do it.
Nice.
All right. Hello, Zia. Could you help us by defining what numerology is and how it helps people in everyday life?
Absolutely. Numerology is essentially a belief system that numbers hold a special, almost spiritual significance in our lives. It's like a tool for self-discovery where you explore the meaning of your birth date or the numerical value of your name to gain insight into your personality, life path, or even relationship patterns. In everyday life, people often turn to numerology as a form of gentle guidance. It can help you make sense of certain phases of your life, find meaning in personal challenges, or even understand compatibility in relationships. Think of it as a reflective tool, like journaling or meditating, that can add another layer of self-awareness.
So does that track for you?
Yes, I think that definition is accurate. Yeah, very accurate. It shows us the connection between all things.
So I was just curious because when we first met, you told me you were a numerologist. And so, of course, we exchanged birth information. I got your human design. You got my life path and my soul path number. But the way that you approach this is so different than most numerologists I know. Like, we have the same numerical birthday. So we're both threes in numerology, but there's so much more to it than that. Can you give us some insight about other aspects of numerology that's really potent to understand?
This is a brilliant question. And the reason why it's a brilliant question is because when most folks go look online, you're going to find some good info online. But a lot of times it's going to simplify it and reduce it to only the single digit and won't really give insight behind the digit. To tell the difference, we look at the numbers behind the single digit. Literally, there was a guy who came on, he had my birthday. There was a guy who came on, had my father's birthday. And then there was two people at different times. People will literally come on having the same birthday, same personal year number. And if I were to just give the general meaning of that single digit, then it would be the same all the way across the board. And, it wouldn't be wrong. They would be able to relate, but if I'm a skeptic and I'm, believe in a plausible deniability, I'm like, oh, well, he says that and everyone relates to it. But then if I go ahead and look at the numbers behind the single digit, that's going to give me nuance. That's going to tell me the several different chapters. We can look into the name. If I got twins that I'm reading for, they're going to be born on the same birthday, have the same sign. But if I look at the name, that's going to tell me the soul. That's going to tell me what we call the personality number. That's going to tell me what we call the expression number. And these are different categories of what we call the basic matrix, right? The expression number represents the assets, liabilities, strengths, and talents of a person. The soul is going to tell me the motivation, the thing that allows their spirit to breathe, that refreshing and type of breath of fresh air. And the personality will tell me how they go about doing certain things, how people perceive them right away. Those all have single digit numbers too. And then they also have deeper numbers behind those, just like that life path. We take all that's a recipe. And then we are able to see all the paradoxes in people. We're able to see where they align, and we're able to see and describe. I don't even have to know the person, but just looking at these patterns, I'm like, oh, sometimes you feel like this and sometimes you feel like that. And your partner interacts in this way. This is the kind of energy, etc. Not just that, but sometimes people want to know deeper things. I get numerologists on there, and they will, be chatting it up, and they'll throw in their 2 cents, and that's always fun. People want to know, hey, what crystal matches my life path number, or my soul number, or my personality, my business? What crystal matches my business that, maybe if I do this with it? You get really interesting questions. Where should I live? What place is going to match my soul? I'm the only reason I'm able to even have insight into this is because it's lived experience. We all live in Shasta land. And since being here, I've been in 6 different places. This is the 6th place that I've been in. And at all the previous places, I had roommates back then. And if you're a numerologist, everyone wants you to do their chart, especially if you're their roommate, right? And the cool thing about that is that, of course, the information is always confidential. You're able to see how that person's karmas are being activated and catalyzed by the street they're living on. You're able to see how the landlord may or may not have chosen the best property, and how the number that is, there's certain numbers that are strong and certain numbers that we're here to develop. You're able to see that and how that shows up in the property that the landlord got, but then you're also able to see that same number show up with the roommates or the tenants that landlord had issue with. And the people who decided that they didn't feel comfortable in their body living there, and all these different things, and people where it was just so easy for them to move in and they just had a fantastic time. You can see all this, but it's one thing to see it, and then it's another, like, see it as in, oh, let me calculate and see how it looks on paper. Okay, cool. Theoretically, blah, blah, blah. But then it's another thing to have already calculated the person's birthday chart and know it silently, quietly, while observing in a non-judgmental fashion. Just look, oh, wow, that's an interesting observation. That really showed up. Whoa, okay, now I know what that looks like. Not just on paper, but I know what it looks like now. And so now, see, once we once we spot those patterns, then it becomes duplicatable, you see. You're able, it's like, oh, I know how to find a restaurant that I like, but let me find a restaurant that likes me.
I'm like, because we do a lot of this with human design, where we'll even watch TV shows and hear like keynotes of different things, and then she'll go look up charts, and we'll be like, yep, that makes sense. All day, every day, and everywhere she goes, just like you, everybody wants them to run her chart, or her to run their chart. But I never, and I've done like the numerology basic stuff, like you said, like the internet does, but I never dreamed it went so deep. Like I could look at restaurants and the street I live on and the house numbers, and I was like, wow, this goes so much deeper.
Yes. Yeah. I had no clue it went that deep when I first started. First 3 years, all I know was the life path number. And then, I would have my breaks throughout because I've been studying it 15 years. And in 15 years, you have your periods where you study numerology, then you take a break, right? There's points where I was like, oh, okay, I studied all I needed. I thought I knew everything I needed to know about numerology. Oh, I know about all the life paths. Yeah, the numbers don't change. The meaning's gonna stay the same. What more is there to learn about numerology? But then I learned, oh, I could calculate the name. Oh, after 3 years, I'm like, oh, I can calculate the name too. Then it reignited further curiosity. It's really cool. You said going that deep, right? So going that deep wasn't always that cool back when I didn't know how to correlate it to reality. Back before I knew how to correlate it to reality and show how it actually shows up in our lived experience, it would seem just like idle knowledge because, just, oh, it has a purpose of, oh, yeah, it's going to tell me my destiny and my life path. That's it. Then people, well, how do I use this for work? Back then, I'm like, expression and sensitivity, right? Just whatever, came to my mind. But what I came to discover is that the first part of the game is pattern recognition. Pattern recognition. Once we spot a pattern somewhere, then we go and replicate it somewhere else. I saw what it was like at a certain point to match myself to places that I will like. I saw it several times and I continue to see it. Even now, I'm living it right this very second. But then the experience of finding a place that liked me, oh man, like and you know how I did it is because I was driving from Wairika back to Shasta, and I typed in the phone on the way. I'm like, places to eat near me, right? I'm on the road, I'm traveling, right? And I'm pull over for a little bit just check it, and I see all these options come up, and just real quick, I'm like, "Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da." Okay. Da-da-da-da-da. Okay, not that one. Da-da-da-da-da. Oh, okay. And for me, lucky me, I'm a everything Aryan, so I don't have anything that I don't eat, right? So one of the restaurants popped up. I was like, okay, boom, I'm gonna head over there and check out what that feels like. And sure enough, it's not that you're surprised, but you are surprised. You're surprised in the sense of, wow, that's potent. Okay. You're not surprised because you saw the pattern. So then it goes into the mind as tracked knowledge. It's like, okay, cool, pattern observed. Boom. And it's confirmed. It all starts with a hypothesis or like, I wonder if I could do this. I wonder if I could do that. A buddy of mine, we used to be vegan. He went and he would eat avocado all the time. Till the doctor told him that wasn't appropriate for his blood type and that he needed to incorporate other things. And told him that avocados was actually contributing to the opposite of what he was anticipating. So he needed to stop eating avocados like that. So I was like, oh, I wonder if I could find out why avocados respond with him like that. Found some wild connections. wild connection. But with those wild connections, I'll tell you, it's not just wild connections. The specific reasons why he wasn't able to eat avocado, I won't go too deep on this unless you ask me. But it was because the top three numbers in avocado were directly afflicting his top three in his chart, which was activating what's called a void energy. And since it was showing up in the outer portion of his chart, it was affecting his body from what I observed. It was connected to his desire. We could see why he liked avocado, but then we could also see some of the effects of it. And that's where that showed up. And so then what did we do? Then I found out, I have a school on numerology where I teach. One of my students uh, is a psychiatric nurse practitioner who wants to shift from prescribing medication to a more natural alternatives, natural healing ways. But while still in that's his work. He's about to exit, and we get in a discussion, and we're talking about medications. Not in the sense of, oh, let me go and start putting on a doctor's suit and start prescribing. No, not like that at all. But in the sense of, hey, these are some medications here, and these, what are some of the numbers that you spot, some of the patterns. At that point, then it became necessary to use the other half of numerology. The other,
The other half?
the other.
Do tell.
Happily. The other half is the reverse numerology, the reverse alphabet. You see, if we only
Okay.
use the forward, then we're leaving out 50%. When we use the reverse also, then we're going to find the other half of the story, the other, not just single digit numbers, but specific numeric sequences that will show up in medications, in diseases, in illnesses. We did a crystal party in Shasta where we encouraged people to bring their favorite crystals. We took a look and said, hey, who wants to share something? Someone decided to share that they were dealing with eczema. What stone or crystal might be able to help with that? So, boom, right on the whiteboard in front of everybody. I didn't know what I was going to find. I really didn't. I just was like, oh, okay, she brought this, so let's go ahead and look at it. Calculated eczema, calculated that person's name, calculated the city that we live in, Mount Shasta, and look for a crystal that matches that energy. Well, what we found was that the numbers for eczema were actually in that person's name. But not in the forward numerology. It was in the reverse. If we had not looked at the reverse, then we would not have spotted it so easily. But because we did, we were able to see that, and then we were able to see, oh, well, Shasta has that same number pattern as well. And the thing is, they noticed that they would get those eczema outbreaks when they would come back to town, like when they would be in town. So it's kind of like how in astrology, you can see something, but you can also see if it's supported in their chart. And if it is, when those external conditions present themselves in that person's life, then it supports that to happen. So that was how that worked with eczema. When they're in that environment, it's places favorable conditions, and boom, it would just come up. So then we looked, oh, well, what's a crystal that goes with it? And we found, oh, well, you know what? The word eczema was like certain patterns or certain number sequences in eczema were in, I believe that stone was golden healer quartz. And it was just said, encouraged, hey, go ahead and grab that stone when you get the chance. Hold on to it. I'm not guaranteeing anything at all other than it's, where we see some connections and patterns. Go ahead and try this and tell me what your experience is. This is me just playing around with these numbers. Like, oh, okay, let me go ahead and calculate hundreds of diseases and illnesses and keep them in this book that I call healing, and then have these as a ready to go reference when someone is telling what kind of illness or disease or condition that they have. So then we can take this crystal codex and see what crystals go with it. But that's exactly what we did. And we just to dig just for curiosity, just like when I said, Lee, let me try to prove this wrong. Well, now it's like I've seen so much stuff. It's like, okay, let's see what we find when we just dig and just go there and see and explore in front of the whole everyone. They could see it. If it's too deep, I'm sorry. I wish I warned you, to whoever showed up that night. But it was some good information, really good information on a practical level. And then some people also then like to know, hey, what cycle am I in right now?
Well, so that's actually an interesting segue, because I feel like on a collective level, one of the ways that numerology shows up in, let's say, like pop culture, let's call it pop culture, people talk about the number of a year. So 2025 is a 9. And so for this entire year, they've been talking about like, this is a closing year, that like wrap things up, leave them behind. 2026 represents the year 1. But of course, I've heard like the conflicting ideas of that it represents 10 and how that's actually different. So what, in your perspective, does that actually offer us? Is it valuable? Have you seen a consistent pattern over the last 10 years of these dates, distilling them down to one number, and how that actually plays out?
Yes, I have. That was actually a whole saga of study. Back when I used to live back east, I would calculate every day, each day, just privately, and look at what the number would be. And then as I'd go about my day, I'll just have it in my mind, and I'd be like, oh, okay, the number is this kind of energy, and just be kind of like, wonder where that would show up. And the thing would show up. You call it law of attraction, but there's plenty of times where I, had expected things to show up not using numerology, and it may not have shown up at the time that I expected. But man, when it was related to that, it was, especially when looking at each day, it was pretty on point. And it would show up when looking at the years. That's where you're going to notice the collective. You're going to notice collective movement, collective shifts. Good question that you ask. What's the value in knowing that? Is that it places us in alignment. We know how to consciously be in alignment. Some people do it intuitively, you see. And then when a person does it consciously and they have knowledge that supports their intuition, they're going to feel it first. The numbers will confirm it. But then it gives the ability to duplicate. So you said 9. Everyone's talking about 2025. It's a 9. It's a closing year. So yeah, what's that mean? Well, it means that when in a personal year 9 or universal year 9, it's going to support closing out any old cycles or old patterns that no longer serve you. The best way to work with any particular number is to work along with its energy, because then that activity will be supported. If working against the energy, it does not mean that they won't succeed. It just is, they may experience a bit more resistance. You ever been to a restaurant that was like about to close in like the last 5 minutes? And then you go to the restaurant, you're like, they're about to close in like 3 minutes. They're like packed up. And you're like, you walk in there, they got those videos on TikTok and YouTube, people going in there last minute. You hear the chef just go off, just go blast and start throwing pots and pans. That's kind of the vibe energetically of attempting to start something really significant during a 9 energy year because the energy and the momentum is set for ending. When we work in alignment with the energy, the number, it will notice that we have a little bit more momentum to do that. People try to end things and cut things off, but then stuff can come back. But when you do that in a 9 year, it's more like once that's done, it's done. That 9 is like a cosmic, 9 is like looking at the things that you want to get rid of. The universe is saying, hey, what do you want to get rid of this year? This, boom, boom, boom. So you boom, it's like the trash man coming and taking the stuff out without leaving any trace behind. And you don't see that stuff.
Well, but what's funny about that though is I feel like what most people have collectively experienced, only because, we're constantly dialoguing about this, is that things were being taken away that we didn't think we wanted to be taken away from us, not things that we were like, oh yeah, I'm ready to throw that away. Like
my job.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But there are so many examples of this, of just doors closing that we weren't expecting to close, for similar energies to come through that we felt like we had dealt with, but clearly there was some residue left over that we still needed to kind of scrape out of the bottom of the bowl. And so most people, even though we thought closing the cycle was going to be somewhat gentle, it didn't feel gentle at all. And so now we're exhausted because we weren't emotionally ready for all of those slamming doors. But this coming year, people feel very optimistic. I don't remember the last time people were this optimistic about an upcoming year. So what is your perspective on the year 2026 and how we may be able to use the energy of that? Just like you said, it would have been good to know at the beginning of 2025 how we could swim with the current a little better instead of maybe pushing up against it. So how can we swim with the current of 2026?
See, shortly before the next energy cycle comes through, like the date of its beginning, you'll feel it start to trickle in. Kind of like now, we're at the end of the year. We're going to start feeling that oncoming energy. Let's say maybe 15 days, 30 days prior, but we'll feel it lock in. It's almost like the year celebration of the New Year is like a universal rite of passage. But then you're really going to feel that one energy after your next birthday, after your birthday within that year. Now, here's this, my friend. You said something very interesting. You said the idea of, oh, dang, things were removed that we may not have wanted removed. And I could relate to that, as it relates to relationships, dynamics that no longer served us, but we didn't know it at the time. And we were only able to really see that once we spent time with ourselves and saw what the contrast was like. Here's a little bit of insight for the year 2025 and in contrast to 2026. I know you know about tarot cards, right? And so, yeah, of course, right? Yeah, we live in Shasta Land. Who don't know about tarot cards? So we know about the 22, the first 22, but then you have the other 56 cards, the minor arcana. So when we take the year, we use a special type of a calculation to find what I'm about to share with you. But we identify 2025 as being the 5 of Cups energetic year. That's the energy of what you felt in this 9 year. Straight up, Five of Cups is where the guy, he has 5 cups of wine, really expensive wine that he's carrying. He drops three and they spill, and he stares at those three and more. He's like, oh my God, oh man, I can't believe, oh, those 3 cups of wine, dang, oh man. But he still got those two that are behind him. This is some of the dynamics we see. But then when we take a look at 2026, what's this feeling of optimism? Well, 2026 would naturally then go to the 6 of Cups, which is nostalgia. So there's going to be a lot of people feeling nostalgic. 6 of Cups is the 46th tarot card. 4 plus 6 adds up to 10. 1 and 0 adds up to 1. We're going to have energy and momentum towards starting new things. More momentum than if we were to start it in the previous year. You probably heard the saying, millionaires don't use astrology, but billionaires do, right?
I've not heard that. But that's
Not
genius.
heard that, but
Yeah.
And as you're talking, I'm like calculating in my head what our birth dates add up to this year. And they're both 10s as well.
Ah, fascinating. I'd be so curious to know what calculation you use.
Oh, I just added all the numbers.
Because
I don't even know if I did it
well,
right.
there's all sorts of different methods. And what these do is, in interpretation, they give us more nuance. They give us more seasoning. And that 46 is the energy. Look at that card. It's just someone that's being generous, giving. So it's a much more enjoyable type of a year. You know, numerology blends in with astrology. Any system that has numbers, it will blend into. So since this upcoming year is all about one energy, it's definitely going to be giving a lot of momentum to new doors, new opportunities. You're going to see a more of a move toward the things that one represents, like sovereignty. You're going to see people really talking about unity, higher consciousness, because one represents the all that is. You'll see these types of patterns. You're going to be seeing, well, what do you get when you add 4 plus 6? You get 10. That's the wheel of fortune in the tarot. You're going to be seeing big shifts that you didn't expect. Big shifts that you didn't expect out of nowhere. Out of nowhere. Wheel of fate, wheel of fortune. That's that 10. That the number 1 by itself is the magician. So you're going to be seeing people's their ability to manifest their reality intentionally, more so on the rise. You're going to hear that's going to be so spoken about this upcoming year online. People are going to be called to step into their power more fully and to step into their sovereignty and to be authentic, have authenticity. The 46, well, then when we break that down, we have 4, which is structure and stability, organization. And 6 is the energy of family. Family, it's the energy of love, it's the energy of community, whether family is blood or whether family is bond. And these are different patterns that we'll observe in the collective. See, the thing with having the 46 like that is it's going to be structure focused on family and community. So we're going to be seeing community structures developing and building. These are things that people will be observing in their reality and living, whether they know about numerology or not. It's just going to show up. And it'll look different. It'll show up in different iterations for each person.
The collective has also been talking a lot about astrological signs in the coming year. And so I've seen a lot of discussion about how air signs, specifically Libra, is going to have a banner year in 2026, which I'm super ready for. But I wanted to understand if you believe that certain life path numbers will have a more prosperous year, or if there's anything that you feel correlates with that. Like, for example, if your life path is 1, than being a 1 year, is that typically more advantageous or not?
Yep. Anyone born on the 1st, 10th, 19th, 28th, or the month of January, or the month of October, or that has a life path 1, or they have a soul number 1, expression 1, personality 1, wherever the number 1 shows up in the person's chart will be magnetized. Anyone who happens to be in a personal year 1 while it's in a universal 1, that'll be a year where they make significant progress. Anyone who has a anyone who has a personal 1 month, maybe they're not in a personal 1 year, but maybe they have one of the months out of the year that comes out to personal 1. Very common. That month is going to be magnetized. It's going to be charged by the resonance, right?
Yes.
Any date,
January.
She was born in January, and so many people have predicted that January is going to be a really big month for her. So
it coincides. But then at the same time, isn't that what you would expect from a cohesive system, right? It would coincide with other pattern finders. It would coincide with other systems. And it's not that, oh, I'm getting the same information. What's the point? It's more so, no, I say that because we did have a buddy, a friend of mine. He got, I gave him a numerology reading. Then my friend gave him an astrology reading, and we came independently. I didn't even have a clue he was doing this. It was years ago. And then we ended up saying the same thing, and he was like, "Oh, well, David said or Jim or whatever said the same thing. What's the point of this stuff?" And I'm like, well, dude, wouldn't you expect that if it's a science, regardless of what angle?
confirmation.
Right, exactly.
But I kind of get it because I've been told over and over this whole last year that I need to embrace my power, embody your power. And I was coming from so many different sources. And I'm like, if I knew how, I would. I get it. I see the signs. I hear everybody telling me these things, but I don't understand what it even means or how to apply it to my life. So I get the frustration with it as well, I guess.
And that's the value of looking at it from different perspectives, is because that's why I use Vedic astrology, numerology, and the tarot. The numerology will it'll draw the sketch for me. It'll draw the square. It'll put in the shading. It will create the background. It'll be like me writing or creating a sketch with a pencil. Very nice sketch with a pencil. Now, if I look at astrology, that's going to be the color. That's going to tell me what colors things are, how I know what colors to place. Then if I look at the tarot, now the picture starts to move. And we're able to see specific dynamics that could play out in certain points throughout that year. And so I call it the use of those three, I call it the divine trifecta. Some of the ways that people step into their power is connecting to their higher self and their soul at a level where, yes, you'll still benefit from external validation and you'll still benefit from external confirmation because we're human and these things are definitely needed at times. You also have the ability to get this from yourself. And you, from spending time alone or spending time with those that are supporting your journey, but specifically that time where you don't really have too much noise coming in. And when you really need to ask questions, then you get comfortable strengthening this muscle of trust. And then you get comfortable discerning it from our ego analytical mind and what's an authentic intuition for me to follow. Then from observing the track record of every time you followed specific things the intuition suggested, the outcome of how it actually worked shows you, oh, dang, every time I listen to that, I get it right. So I'm going to keep doing that. And someone says something different. I don't know. They might be coming with their perspective and I respect it. But hey, I'm going to go with this. And then your guides start telling you to move in silence. You start moving in silence, because then when blessings come your way, they don't really want you telling everybody right away, because some things are meant to incubate in silence until they grow momentum to be seen. And not everyone that we share it with will receive it the way we want and will return with the energy that we may be sharing it with them for. I know a lot of psychics, so I know a lot of intuitives. I'm very privileged and blessed to have that, as to be able to say that. At the same time, we're all human. We're all a filter. We're all going to be filtering it and interpreting whatever information we have for this person through our experience and through our, thoughts and beliefs that we've developed over the years of what people need to do and not do. But if you're living your own path and you're doing something that no one's done before, then a person is only able to see you as deep as they're able to see themselves. So that's where that comes from. And stepping into one's power, one of the ways, there's many ways. One of the ways is being able to move forward with a willingness to hear other perspectives, but at the same time, having the ability to go within right away, or, and figure out what the best course of action for you is and a way to test it, to feel it. There's a simple way. It's not like I got to meditate for all these years and do that. I'm sure that helped. I am sure that helped, but that was not the path that I took. Here's an example. I was working at the most recent place that I worked at. I just finished my 10-minute break. This is last May, friend. This is last May. Washing my hands right after the 10-minute break. Heard a voice. And the voice was like, it was my voice, but just saying it but without my mouth opening, right? It's like saying something with your mouth closed. It's an audible thought, like a vivid thought. At least that's what it felt like. I'm like, oh, okay. Said, hey, put your 2-week notice in. I'm like, what? Hold up. Wait a second. Hold up. Okay. So, and the water's still running. Now, in the past, had I heard that, I probably would have gone to uh, someone and I would have been like, hey, you know what? I heard this. What do you think? And then they would have told me what their 2 cents were. And it might have been based on security and stability. You sure you want to do that, Darius? Yeah, sure. Hey, it might be better if you blah, 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 and A, B, C, D, but me, I wasn't in that type of space to really be comfortably able to do that, to ask someone, because I knew that whoever I did ask was not gonna say, yeah, go for it, do it. So I just kept it in private. And so here's what I did, though. Here's what I did. And it wasn't because I'm like, at that moment, I can't tell nobody. I just said, all right, hold up. Okay, I just heard this. Higher self soul of Darius Oliver. Use my body as a pendulum, right? Higher self soul of Darius Oliver. Do you recommend I put the 2-week notice in 2 weeks? This means yes. So body did this. And it's not like me doing it. It's like pushing me, right? Like a little, my nervous system. And boom, I go like this. So, okay, I got a yes. All right, let me ask a second way. Higher self soul of Darius Oliver. Do you recommend that I refrain from putting in a 2-week notice? This means no. I was like, oh, okay. I got a no one. Okay. See, then I'm like, okay, third time. Higher self soul, Darius Oliver. Do you recommend I put my 2-week notice in? I got a yes. See, I'm like, what? All right, bet. All right, cool. Right. That's the thing. When you use your body as a pendulum, you don't really know how it's going to move you. You don't, because it's just, you're literally getting the answer from higher self interfacing with your nervous system. And that was a way of, when we say take power back, me not giving the decision to an external source. but me allowing myself to finally trust my guidance, to trust my own.
Yeah, I think the hardest part from that point would be to actually follow through with that instinct, with that knowing that you have now, and go, okay, now the human part of me is going to go do what the higher self part of me said to do, because it can be scary for people.
Yeah, past Darius would not have been able to do that. Maybe even last year. I didn't even know that technique last year. Back that year, yeah, I would have been asking folks because that's all I knew. I mean, I know how to look at numerology and stuff like that, and I know how to look at patterns that was coming up. Deep, intricate things. But certain stuff like that, where it's survival based, you got bills you got to take care of. You know what bills you got to take care of. You got financial obligations. You know things that you would like to do for fun. You know these questions like, oh, what am I gonna do in this case? Fortunately, between May and March, I had seen and experienced several things that said it very concrete that, yo, do this and you'll be good. Like, do this and it won't lead you astray. You may not know all the answers right now, Darius, but when you leave that, you already know because you experienced this over here that because you chose to leave this situation, you live in the house you live in right now. Because you did A, B, C, D back then. So if you saw that back then, and then you saw the other thing over here, now that we're suggesting this, go ahead and see what happens. And they would always finish it off with, you'll see.
Well, so a lot of people listening are going through their own transitions, right? It is a transitional time in history, massive awakening, massive shifting of consciousness on the planet. And with that comes some crumbling, right? How can people use numerology or look for signs or confirmations through numbers when they are in that transitional space and they are looking for, you just gave the example of the body pendulum, but how do numbers help with those transitional times and those big decisions when, yes, the programming is so deep about what it means to be safe and secure and like good in the world.
So numerology, it is fascinating. It covers everything. At the same time, it's only a part of the process because the other part is the inside part. And so developing trust within the inside part, then the numbers will simply show us the time on the clock and it'll show us when to work alongside inspired action, when and how to work alongside aligned action. When we move by inspired action, then it's going to look different. When we move by aligned action, then it's going to look different and it's going to feel different. Did that mean that right when I quit, it was all easy? No. Did that mean that right as soon as I quit, everything just showed up right away? No. No. There's that period of time where you're experiencing contrast. There's that period of time where you have ease. The only disruption is in the mind in that case. The mind in the sense of it responding to the external third density demands of people needing deadlines for this, and our task then becomes to babysit that analytical part of our brain that takes a look and feels fear. What's that? False evidence appearing real. So it's going to look around all around us and look for all these different things that support its dark picture that it interprets. But that's the part that we manage. At least that's my experience. Keeping those thoughts in check and challenging them when they show up. A lot of it had to do with shifting my inner dialogue. A lot of it had to do also with things that you shared with me about being a projector, and how by me honoring that and listening to that part that needed to rest. Guess what I was doing when I left that job, right? So
Resting.
exactly, because that's exactly what when that aspect of me said put the 2 week notice in, it didn't just say put the 2 week notice in. What it said right before that was, because I had just finished my 10-minute break. It sent the thought of, hey, put more energy into forcing yourself to eat that whole food, all that food in 10 minutes than you're gonna need for this entire shift. Now you're tired. Put your 2 week notice in the next 2 weeks. And so then, I still remember some things from the Bible says, do not believe every inspired expression, but test the inspired expression. So I'm like, okay, hold up. Let me make sure this is not a convenient ego thought. So then I'm like, all right, cool. Let me get it straight up. Higher self soul, what's up? You recommend I put the 2 week notice in? Yes. Really? You recommend I refrain? What? Recommend I put the 2 week notice in? Wow. Okay. 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 By that time, you've seen so much stuff and you've experienced so much stuff that for me personally, and this time, I don't know about Pat like last year, but this time, when it came to me this time, it wasn't like, oh my God. It was more like, I bet. Let's go. It was just kind of like, let's go. Let's do it. And so my thought during that 2 week period, while I was anticipating leaving, was, okay, I made an energetic decision to leave this. So I wonder if in this 2 week period of time, they're going to notice. I wonder. I didn't say none to nobody. I wonder if they're going to start treating me different. Let me pay attention to what happened. Just silently observing, you know, but I put the thing in after I did that. Boom, I was done. I got to experience that feeling of contrast. It gave me the time that I actually needed to rest and allow my nervous system to do its repair, its replenish. For when whatever way that looked, I wasn't judging myself. That wasn't the name of the game. It was just to hold space for myself. And just like if I'm talking to someone else and I'm holding space for them, just hold space for myself and allow and sit with me while, sit with myself. That doesn't mean like I was meditating. That means that a lot of time I was knocked out. I was like just chilling. But my friends, I tell you what, one of the big things that helped me in gaining better knowledge of self was being seen. When I say being seen, what do I mean? That doesn't mean that the people physically around me were able to see me. That means people who've never met me were able to describe my life to me to a T and give me reassurance and tell me things that I'm actually doing that, they're telling me my life. What that means, I found, I called it my team of seers, right? I found several YouTube channels with some really skilled readers that when I would tune into them, even though they're doing a reading for the collective, it tripped me out because they would just say things in there that made me feel like, man, am I the only one watching this right now? How is it that this video is on this YouTube and all these people can watch it, but it's like literally describing this dynamic that happened yesterday and 2 weeks ago and telling me, you know, things that I don't tell folks that I just keep to myself because I need to. And right. So it created an echo chamber for me because I was leaving a relationship. And when you do that, you're in the process of filling the hole yourself that the other person filled. and kind of you're rebuilding yourself. You are, yeah, I stepped into my cocoon, my hermit phase, hermit mode, almost 6 months. I'm still, it actually made me into a chronic hermit now. So, I really I haven't been out much. I go out here and there. I go out to eat. I go out, hang out with friends. Like yesterday, I helped friends move. But man, you know what? It feels really good to sit in my own energy. Also, you know what? I noticed that there's just peace. I would say that alone time helped me to hear my own voice louder. And not just that, following the advice of that voice, I've seen the results. Being able to learning how to distinguish that between my analytical mind and the intuitive hits. That's all. That's been a big old game changer since March. Since March, right after my birthday, I thought, see, look, I'm 34. I thought I was gonna learn this at 33, but I thought I would learn it back last year. But things that led to me discovering that happened at age 33. Now that I'm 34, just kind of taking that and allowing it, but then knowing the numerological patterns and the numbers that are coming up, that helps me to refine my question. That numerology, when I was in that previous relationship container, that dynamic, it told me ahead of see, look, I know how to find my cycle for the year. I knew how to find her cycle for the year, and then I knew what both of our cycle was combined, month by month by month by month by month. Sounds like it'd be cool, doesn't it? And it is, but it's also not. Especially when you see something that makes you have a question mark, and you're like, "Dang, man!" And you know what time it is, and especially if you're in it was a container, and then you see your combined numerology cycle coming up like 3 months down the line, talking about detachment, that Five of Swords, because the number 59 showed up in the combination of her and my month in like October or September. And you know that the Five of Swords is detachment, and it's like not even the funnest kind of detachment. When you see it, it's not like, oh no, Five of Swords is coming. What am I gonna do? It's more like, oh, okay, that energy's coming. Interesting. Okay, so then that means that we gotta improve our communication, because Five of Swords is communication. Yeah, Five of Swords can mean detachment if I let it get that way. Seeing it ahead of time gives you different options, or at least an awareness, a sense of different options. Oh, let me at least try this. I see that thing coming, so at least won't catch me blindside. But now I know, oh, since that's dealing with communication, I need to be very clear with my communication, both of us. And I could do everything for my part, but then it's going to also depend on the other person to play the game too. And so that's where you kind of see things. And then around that time, that thing showed up, you saw it 3 months ahead. So you might even not even be thinking about it. By the time it comes up, then you start seeing some patterns show, oh, dang. Oh, wait a minute. Wasn't this that month? Oh, yeah. Dang. Kind of things like that. Kind of things like that. And so then you just respond, because just because we're able to see some energies coming on, and even how the dynamics might play out, it could still show up in a way we don't expect, just in the literal day-to-day interaction. When that time came, though, and I did start to see those patterns, because I knew that was the energy pattern for that month, and I knew what that meant, it was like, oh, all right, this is detachment time. Okay. Then I went into hermit mode. Stayed in there 6 months, and then came out for a little bit, peeked my head out the turtle shell, went back in, spent some more time with me, and and select friends, select individuals, I was able to move out of that dynamic, that household, which was a very nice home, very nice house. Everyone there's nice. It's not like it was bad. It was just energetic dynamics of living there became such so that it was literally some divine intervention type stuff. Saw a YouTube video show up on my feed, said, "Hey, you need to move. You need to move. The place where you are currently living is no longer suited for you," right? That type of message show up from a creator on YouTube. And then I'm like wondering if this is for me. Then I'm like, okay. And then 2 days later, I saw it again. And I'm like, hold up. Y'all serious about this? So then I checked in. I'm like, hey, higher self soul Darius Oliver, you recommend that I actually really do this? Like this, I need to take this serious? Yes. Oh, so you recommend that I go ahead and take action on this direction? Yes. You recommend I refrain from taking action on this direction? No. So you recommend I take action? Yes. Okay. All right. Did something with the Angels of Suitable Housing. And after I did that, then 2 days later, I got a confirmation. Funny thing enough, that same YouTuber said, just like 2 days later, you will be moving into your new apartment very soon. You will receive the keys to your new apartment. When you get this, do not tell anyone. Keep this between you and God, because there are those that will not benefit in their way that they would like to when you move. So I was like, okay, I saw that directly after I worked with the Angels of Suitable Housing. I saw that. 2 days later, I get a phone call from a apartment application that I filled out and forgot about last year, talking about, hey, your thing came up. Come in. Come on in. Fill your stuff out. Boom. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I did do that last year. Huh. And it showed up right there, just like that. Interesting. Okay, okay, boom. I go and I do it. Do the stuff, did that process, followed it, and boom, got my place. Moved in on May 15th. Now, being at work, after having that experience, see, that happened before I left the job. I actually moved into the house during that 2 week period of the waiting, right?
So then you had to have a lot of courage to take that leap.
Yes. And at the same time, you having that type of response like that, you seeing that show up, you got this place of living just like that, then you get this guidance of, hey, you need to put the 2 week notice in. Man, I saw what y'all did with the house. So, okay, y'all telling me to quit. All right, let's go. Right? I'm like that. Like, I seen what you did with the house. I seen what you did with ABCD person. And whenever I listened and followed it, how initially maybe I felt a certain way, but then when I actually allowed myself to do it and I saw how it worked, I saw the you'll see part about it. Then when I got that, it was more so of just them saying yes, that I should follow this course of action was the validation in and of itself. So then I stopped working there. I spoke to my angelic Reiki teacher from Stockton. I told her, hey, look, I just some updates. I said, look, I got my place, then I left the work. She's like, yep, that's exactly how they do it. First they'll move you, and then they'll tell you they'll move your work. That's exactly the order they work. I was like, oh, really? So this is a thing. It's like a actual dynamic. She's like, yep. And, it was very helpful to have her perspective. I shared it with her because the people that I speak to, they're invested in me. I'm invested in them, but it wasn't the type of investment that someone who is giving me advice for material success would give. Someone who's giving me advice for material success would give me a different blueprint, may make different suggestions. And at that time, yes, I did see those things and I did see these changes and how they develop. I'm also aware that I'm protecting my mind from other people's realities leaking into my manifestation. Battling, there's friends at that time that were going through things that really needed help and, you know, were they were kind of stuck in their way of thinking, rigidly limited based on fixed ways that the world works and working purely based off logic and how they felt about themselves and locked into limiting belief systems and defeatist mindsets and mentalities, asking for encouragement. And I loved to help and I loved to give it. But at a certain point, I started seeing that I started tasting those thoughts affecting my thought patterns. I'm like, oh, no, 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 no. Let's put that projector cap back on and go back in rest. And then when they call, you know, when they would call, I may not always be answering their call, or, thank God they got connected to a buddy who did have that capacity to work with that person more consistently. Because the thing is, it's not like the suggestions that I made to the person weren't actually working or producing fruit, because it did. But for the person to believe that they were the one that influenced that reality that way and that it didn't just happen, it happened because they used a principle that really works and interacts with reality to create some stuff and not explain it away with logic and analysis, and that now I got to convince you to believe in this. Nah, from trying to convince you, now I got to convince myself of some stuff again now, right?
Well, I feel like this is a really complete conversation. I am so grateful that we were able to sit down with you and to get your perspective on all of these different things. I feel like we got even more than we thought we were going to, because this story you told of your job, tuning into your higher self, the move, all of those things. These are all the things that people are in flux about, especially in this past year. So to anchor them into something that they can really take forward into the year upcoming is so valuable. I really, really appreciate all that you shared. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I'm sitting over here going, okay, I'm going to go get my pendulum, and I got some work to do. 'Cause I just realized within the last few months that even through trying to connect to my guides was really external validation. And so recently I've started talking to my soul and talking to my higher self as myself, like, 'cause I have all the same knowledge that my guides do, right? So taking that to the next level of actually being the pendulum or using my pendulum and communicating with myself, like, that was like a light bulb moment for me. So I'm going to take that like 5 minutes after we get done here and have
First, I'm going to
few
eat
conversations.
Yeah. Yes. I'm very happy to hear that.
So Darius, tell the people how they can work with you. We're going to put your contact information in the show notes, but like, what are the programs that you take people through that they can be in touch with you for, if they want to invite you as the fabulous projector that you are?
If anyone wants a consultation of any kind, you can reach me by emailing me. You can reach me on TikTok, Instagram. I go live on TikTok. I have a school. We just launched a weekend workshop that we did last night. We did the weekend workshop. It was the first one of this kind. I made it really easy for people to have access. Different than my big school that I do. It's only $25. We're gonna have it on Friday. I could do a numerology reading for you. I could give you a fish and then I could teach you how to fish. and get you up to where you know what I know so that we can make observations together and you learn these basics, and then you not just basics, you learn the deep stuff, and then you're able to go and look at the things in your world and create your own system. We're going to talk about some things that some numerologists will not disclose publicly without someone signing an NDA. That's some heavy, potent stuff. We're going to be talking about what the soul number is, how to calculate it, what the life path is, how to find it, what the expression is, what that means, and then what the personality number is and how that shows up in our lives. Then how to not just know the calculations and know what each of the numbers means, but some examples of lived experience. And since we're doing your chart, show you examples of how you've been already using it, but maybe unconsciously.
Phenomenal. Darius, thank you so, so, so much for all of your wisdom, for all of your insights, and for this incredible conversation. We're so lucky to have you.
Thank you for having me. Thanks for creating the space.
Thank you for joining us in this sacred circle.
If today's conversation moved something in you, share it, journal it, or bring it into your next moment of love.
And remember, you're not alone. Z is here to support your journey anytime you need her.
Until next time, stay grounded, stay open, and stay true.
With love, always.